Hello everybody, I'm back finally with another chapter of Crindle Cracks. Had a bit of a struggle with IT and then losing the book, but I'm back and it's here so we can finally find out what happens to Ruskin, what happens to Crindle Cracks, because the last thing that we read was that he was going to tame the Crindle Cracks. So let's find out if he actually did. Chapter 42. Darkness. Darkness and silence. Nighttime on Lizard Street. Ruskin got out of bed and put his ear to the wall. He could hear his mum and dad snoring and mumbling in their sleep. "It's not my fault," his dad was saying. "Polly Wolly doodle all the day," his mum was saying. Ruskin got dressed, then put on the tin helmet and turned the torch on. The beam of light shot through the gloom and illuminated the photographs of actors on the wall opposite. Ruskin picked up the pin that had been on the medal and put it in his pocket. Then he picked up the walking stick, waving it in the air like a sword. "Now, unto the breach," Ruskin said, looking at himself in the mirror. His red frizzy hair stood out beneath the helmet, and his arms and legs weren't much thicker than the walking stick. "Perhaps I don't look like a hero," Ruskin thought, "but only I can save Lizard Street from the cracking and scorching and digging of Crindle Cracks." Chapter 43. Ruskin crept downstairs and went into the kitchen. The kitchen table was covered with piles of toast. As quietly as he could, Ruskin picked up some toast, opened the street door and went out into Lizard Street. The moon was full, illuminating the street with a ghostly blue light. The sky was clear and gleaming with stars. Ruskin went up to the metal drain and started to lay a trail of toast, leading away from the drain and down the street towards the school. He had to make several journeys back to his home because at the end of the line, he wanted a pile of toast to act as bait for Crindle Cracks. Just as he was picking up the last remaining slice of toast from the table, Ruskin heard something flapping. He grabbed the walking stick tightly. A bird, Ruskin thought. A bird is in the room. He looked round the kitchen, and wherever he looked, the torch beam shone. It illuminated the toaster and the gas oven and the refrigerator and the dirty washing up in the sink, but it didn't illuminate the bird. Then Ruskin realised what the sound was. A gentle breeze was blowing outside, making the newspaper in the kitchen windows flap in and out like something breathing or a bird's flapping wings. Ruskin heaved a sigh of relief and chuckled. "What a silly boy I am," he thought. He went back outside and completed building his pile of toast. The pile was so big it was taller than Ruskin. He went back to the drain and grasped hold of the metal cover. With all his might, he heaved it up and away from the drain hole. He stared down into the darkness. Down there, in the watery dark, was Crindle Cracks. And soon, Crindle Cracks would smell the toast and rise from the depths to confront Ruskin. "Come on," said Ruskin. "I'm ready for you." Chapter 44. The torch on Ruskin's helmet shone into the hole, illuminating the ladder leading down and the water below. Ruskin put his ear to the ground. No rumbling, nothing. Ruskin waited a little longer, then picked up a slice of toast and dropped it into the hole. He heard it splash. He waited. Nothing. He leaned over the hole. Still no rumbling, nothing. Ruskin looked around. He imagined all his neighbours curled up in their beds, sheets and blankets tucking them in tightly, clocks ticking beside them, eyes rolling behind eyelids as they dreamed, unaware that he, Ruskin Splinter, was poised over a drain, waiting to do battle with Crindle Cracks. And what would they be dreaming? Well, Mr. and Mrs. Cave would be dreaming of their pub with its stained wood bar and satin cushions and carpets with red roses on. Mrs. Walnut would be dreaming of the day she could close the grocer's shop once and for all and stop smelling of potatoes. Mr. Flick would be dreaming of his black velvet lapels and all the films he had yet to show. Mr. Lace would be dreaming of pencils and Shakespeare. Dr. Flowers would be dreaming of the day he could stop sneezing. Elvis would be dreaming of smashing all the windows in the world. Sparky would be dreaming of saying "yes, sir" to everything for the rest of his life. And in his house, his own mum and dad were busily dreaming too. Wendy of toast and tea and saying "Polly Wolly doodle all the day," and Winston of elephants and tigers and how happy he had felt in his zookeeper's uniform. Ruskin was in the midst of these thoughts when, eek, Ruskin jumped. He dropped the walking stick. It disappeared into the hole and landed with a splash in the water below. Chapter 45. It was only the pub sign, but in Ruskin's nervous state it had scared him, and now Corky's walking stick was in the sewer. Ruskin stared into the hole. He'd already lost the medal. He couldn't lose the walking stick as well. Ruskin took a deep breath. There was no alternative. He would have to go into the sewer. He swung his legs over the edge and started climbing down the ladder. The last sound he heard before he disappeared beneath Lizard Street was the pub sign. There it is. There's Ruskin. That's the pub with all its broken windows, and he's going down into the sewer. Chapter 46, last chapter for today. When Ruskin got to the bottom of the ladder, he stood on a brick ledge and stared at the sewer water running alongside like a dark green river. There were tin cans in the water and bits of paper and carrots and bananas and all kinds of things Ruskin couldn't distinguish. His torchlight shone over walls covered with slime so thick it looked like grass. When he glanced up, Ruskin saw a circle of stars sparkling in the drain hole above. He looked around, searching for the walking stick. I've got to find it, he thought. He started to walk along the brick ledge, being careful not to slip. It was cold in the sewer and full of echoing sounds that made his eardrums ring. Suddenly, Ruskin saw the walking stick. It was floating in the water. The current was carrying it along deeper and deeper into the heart of the sewer. Ruskin ran until he was alongside the stick, then he got to his knees and reached out. He stretched as far as he could. His fingers had just touched the walking stick when the current carried it off again. Ruskin jumped up and followed. He was breathing very hard now, and despite being cold, he was sweating. The torchlight flickered over walls and across the water. Corky was right, Ruskin thought. It is beautiful down here. The green of the slime sparkled like emeralds, and the water was satin smooth. The walking stick stopped moving. It had got attached to something particularly thick and slimy. Ruskin rushed up, got to his knees, and reached out. His fingertips grazed across the surface of the water. He grabbed hold of the walking stick. Got it, he said. And that's when he realised it wasn't slime the stick was attached to. It was rats.